Hey guys, thanks for joining me. I wanted to show you my makeup collection today, which has evolved and changed so much over the years. So, before we dive into the collection itself and I tour you around the mess that it is, I wanted to share with you a little bit of my makeup journey, if you want to call it that, and how my tastes have changed throughout the years. So, let me go way back. I won't spend a lot of time there to when I was younger, like a younger teenager. Hold on, let me adjust myself to chat about this. And I started getting into makeup. When I was really young, and I'm talking about like 12, 13, that time frame, I was allowed to wear eyeliner. And that was it. And it was the days of like kohl eyeliner where it was a pencil, you could smudge it, or if you wanted it to be like really smoky Egyptian looking, as we used to say at that time, you would burn the edge of it with a lighter. Do y'all remember these days? And so it was black, and you would put it on your top and on your bottom. Mostly, I put it in my waterline down here. Yes, so I was walking around with this really harsh line for forever, and I always wore some, like, lip gloss, or typically I wore just, like, Vaseline on my lips, right? Like, I carried around a little tub of Vaseline, and that was what I put on my lips. When I got to college, I started to experiment a little bit more. I was able to pluck my eyebrows, and then I started wearing eyeliner on top and in the waterline. Occasionally, I would wear a little bit of blush, and I would wear lipstick. And I liked like a brown lipstick, maybe a little bit vampy. This was like late 90s. So you think about 90s lips as being a little bit more vampy looking, those sort of brown tones, perhaps like neutral ashy looking tones and whatever that we wore during that time period. And then that was it. I don't think I even wore, did I wear mascara in college? I don't remember wearing mascara. If I did, it wasn't a big deal. And then when I graduated and went out into the working world, I started to experiment more with makeup to the point where, like, by my late 20s into early 30s, I was into Mary Kay. Do y'all remember Mary Kay? And I would get the compact. So I had two compacts. One had grayish tones like what I have on my eyes today. The other had more like pinky and warm tones. And so the compact had three colors for your eyes, one for the lid, one for the crease, and then one to kind of put up into your brow bone. Do you remember all this? Hilarious. It also had a cheek color that matched the three eyeshadows and a lip color. So there was one that had, I forget the exact name, but it was like sunset something. And it was actually a lip color that was really like pinkish in nature, not quite as vibrant as the color that I have today, which is actually, just to pause for a second, from the Hung Van Gogh, the new line. And this one is called First Cover. First Cover. And it is this almost like magenta, pink, fuchsia, hot pink, wow, color. So I had that, and then maybe the other compact with Mary Kay was called Sunset something because that was a little bit more vibrant, and it had a lip that was a little bit more like spicy orangey in nature. And I thought I was really badass wearing that, right? I put that on, I would put mascara on, and it was always like drugstore mascara and all that. And you couldn't tell me nothing. I thought I was super cute. And I was pretty dang cute wearing that stuff. Then came makeup YouTube, and it was all downhill from there. And, it's like 200 lipsticks later. Here I am at 50 with more makeup than I'll ever wear in my lifetime. So, makeup YouTube was somewhere in, I don't know, the 2015, 2016 timeframe. And I started to watch Tati Westbrook. And I'm still watching Tati Westbrook to this day. I'm trying to remember if Wayne Goss was on at that time or if he came a little bit later. I discovered Alicia Archer a little bit later into makeup YouTube time, like 2017, 2018, somewhere in there. Trying to think like who were those OGs? Jaclyn Hill. Oh gosh, and I'm forgetting who the other people were. But I watched and binge watched a lot of makeup YouTube, and there were so many different recommendations. Oh my gosh, Kathleen Lights. I've always watched her. Other names are escaping me. I can see their faces, but I can't think of their names. But there was like a crew, and I would watch them in the mornings as I was getting ready. I would watch them at home while I was cooking or whatever. Whenever I had time to just binge watch, I would watch. And I got really into makeup. BH Cosmetics was big at that time. ColourPop Cosmetics, Anastasia Beverly Hills was they were coming into their own. Tarte Cosmetics, Too Faced, all of those brands, Benefit Cosmetics. I had a call and got interrupted, so I don't remember where I was, but I think I was talking about the Mary Kay compacts. Oh no, we had gone past that, and I was talking about YouTube and getting obsessed with makeup YouTube. And so BH Cosmetics and all that. That's right. Tarte, Too Faced, etc. So those brands had started to eclipse your traditional makeup counter makeup products that were like in department stores. So versus like Lancome and Estee Lauder and those brands that you could find at department stores, people were starting to go more to Sephora and to Ulta. And I think I'm not sure like, if it's like a chicken and egg thing. Did YouTube drive people that direction? Or were people there and did makeup YouTube become born out of the obsession with Ulta and Sephora? I don't really know. And that's not really the point of this video. But, you had before that drugstore, department store, and then independent sellers like your Mary Kay's and things like that. So when makeup YouTube came about, I guess is what I'm saying is those sort of like mid-tier prestige brands, I think they're called, started to become a big thing. All of that to say that I was obsessed with YouTube makeup and was buying up everything that influencers said was good. If they liked it, if they demonstrated it and it looked good on them, I wanted it. I was buying a lot, not everything, but I had a lot. So I went from having like a couple of eyeshadow palettes to many, many. And I was into drugstore and the prestige brands. I didn't mess around with the luxury brands at that point at all for a couple of reasons. One, I was having trouble justifying in my mind the cost of luxury products at that point in time in my life. And then I had a very different salary at that point in time. So, that of course drives your purchasing decisions, which makes total sense. So I probably had gotten up to something in the neighborhood of like 30 eyeshadow palettes, and that seemed wild and insane to me. And so then life changed. I grew up a little bit more, changed jobs, salary kept getting a little better as the years went on, and like new possibilities were opening up, right? And makeup YouTube was becoming even more interesting, varied. And I don't want to use the word advanced because I don't think like one type of makeup product is more advanced than the other, but there was a lot more luxury makeup popping up on YouTube. Fast forward to about my maybe early to mid 40s, and I found myself with so many eyeshadow palettes, many of which I really loved. I was really trying to experiment even more at that time with really bright, bold colors. So I was doing like the Pat McGrath Mothership palettes and going crazy on that. I was doing like the bright Norvina palettes that came out. I was buying Nomad Cosmetics. I was buying Bright Color Pop, Juvia's Place, all this stuff that I thought was interesting and different and you could get creative. I mean, at that time, it felt like avant-garde looks, right? Little did I know that I wasn't necessarily fantastic at really bright, bold colors, and I probably looked a little bit more ridiculous than chic or avant-garde or cutting edge or whatever I thought I was looking like. So, as time went on, I became less interested in the bright, bold colors, probably at around the time of like COVID or a little bit after, where it just like dawned on me, or I started to feel like having bold colors on my eyes for me personally felt like not in my character or perhaps a little bit ridiculous for my personal lifestyle. I'll give you an example. Do you remember the Natasha Denona Sunset palette? Well, there was Sunset and Sunrise. I feel like I'm thinking about the Sunrise palette that had the purples and the pinks and the oranges. Anyway, I did a look with that, and I remember driving around in my car and popping the mirror down and looking in the sunlight and going, "Girl, what are you doing? That is a lot of color for your eye." I felt like I looked a little bit clownish or ridiculous. And this was around like as COVID kicked off or started around in that time period. And I would still wear bold looks for my fragrance channel. Veronica says that I had started in 2020. And sometimes when I look back at even those old videos, I'm like, what were you wearing on your face, woman? What were you doing? And maybe you're looking at me right now asking what I'm wearing on my face right now. I don't know. Tastes change and evolve and morph is all I'm saying. As I got even older, and especially as I exited perimenopause and moved more squarely into menopause here recently, like in that transition in my late 40s into I'm now 50 at the time that I'm filming this, it became apparent to me that my time of super bold eyeshadows was gone. And I didn't need like every color under the rainbow. Like I could experiment with a bold lip like this and be happy, if I wanted to play around with color. And I wanted a little bit more of a subdued day to day aesthetic. And so it was at that time that I started to really heavily declutter my eyeshadow collection. I'm lucky that I have a daughter and her friends and their friends and whatever, cousins and so forth that were more than happy to take those palettes off my hands and have a blast with them, like have joy experimenting and playing with those colors. So, they went to good homes and all of that. I also, at that time, started to move away from gaudy packaging. So, that was a personal preference and aesthetic change for me, where I didn't want packaging that had a lot of obvious, like cheap plastic components to them or that looked flimsy. Packaging where it looked like the brand was cutting corners to save money. There is nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not judging that. I'm just saying that my personal taste changed. My salary situation began to also, change in the second half of my 40s significantly, where I just had a little bit more money to play with for my disposable income. And I was able to splurge on myself a little bit more with products that were maybe high end that I had forbidden myself from playing with in the earlier part of my life because I couldn't afford them. All of that to say that my aesthetic and taste started to change completely. Now I'm more into the prestige and luxury brands. That's not to say that I dislike drugstore. I'm looking at a bunch of drugstore lipsticks over here that I really love. I'll give you an example. I mean, this is L'Oreal, right? This is classy packaging. It's nice, it's simple, it's a fantastic, fantastic lipstick formula, and it works. Very different, perhaps, than like this flower lipstick, which is probably expired. I should throw this away. Beautiful color, spiced petal. But it's a different aesthetic. It's got, a lot of plastic components. It's looking a little janky at this point. When you buy drugstore, often they'll have like a sticker too. And the sticker, when you pull it off, leaves residue. That's what's happening back here. That kind of a thing. Not the end of the world. But I just wanted like my packaging to be a little bit sleeker and not have like sticker residue. It's just a personal preference. Anyway, I'll stop justifying it because it is what it is. So my makeup collection has changed quite a bit. You'll still see some of that other stuff. But like I would buy drugstore eyeshadow palettes, like the Wet and Wild stuff or whatever, or the Maybelline. Remember the little Maybelline City collection? And the cover would start to break apart. And then one side of it, the place where it connected to the main compartment came apart. And so, you're trying to like, that sort of thing. You're trying to mess with the lids and all of that to make it work. So, all of that to say that my makeup collection started to sort of turn over. And now I'm very, very happy with way too much makeup. I mean, I have more makeup than any face could ever wear in a lifetime. But I'm happy with my collection, I'm happy with what's in it, and now, although I still shop for makeup quite frequently, if it comes in, it's something that I think has a place among the collection, and then something else has to go out because I only have, so much room in my collection for makeup. So I have 2 collections, one in this room that I had originally put here to film with so that I wouldn't have to drag makeup back and forth between my bathroom, where I typically get ready, in this room, and then I have the collection in my bathroom. And before anyone comes at me about keeping a makeup collection in your bathroom, because I had a woman really early on when I posted my like an eyeshadow video, I think it was my eyeshadow collection. She admonished me, scolded me for keeping my eyeshadows in my bathroom. Yes, I'm aware that there's moisture in the bathroom and that moisture affects your products, but I have a very high ceiling in my bathroom because of the way that it's designed and it's a moisture controlled space. The moisture just doesn't build in there. And I have everything nicely protected in my drawers and all that. So it doesn't ever get hot in my bathroom. It's a pretty sizable bathroom with a very high ceiling. So moisture just doesn't build. Anyway, all of that to say, I have in the bathroom, in my vanity in the bathroom, a beautiful collection of my prized eyeshadow palettes, my lipsticks, my blushes, all that stuff. It's just like it's my precious. Between that and my fragrances, those objects are my precious. I love them. My husband knows that I love them. He kind of leaves me alone about it. He used to tease me when I first started building up my collection. We've been together for a while. And he's like, "What are you doing? Why do you have so much makeup? You only have one face." I'm like, "But I love it all." And so now he sees the joy that it brings me and just kind of leaves me alone about it. And actually enjoys seeing me use my products because he knows that it's my happy place. It is my happy place to get to my vanity in the morning and to put my makeup on and make sure that I'm put together for the day. I really, really enjoy it. It's like it's part of my daily routine. And then to choose a fragrance and to put on an outfit that I feel good in is like the gift that I give myself every day so that I can come to work. And by that, it's usually remote work. I come to my computer, turn it on. I'm often on video camera for most of the day. It's the gift that I give myself to show up as my best self for my work, feeling and looking like my best self. All right, that is enough chatty chatty. Let's get to this makeup collection. So this is the room in which I usually film, especially for the other channel, occasionally for this one, with the floral piece behind, and I'm usually facing that direction. So I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do this makeup collection video, which I promised and I think I want to film, but now I'm like, exactly how do you show everyone all of your makeup collection? And why are we doing this? We're gonna try it. Forgive me if it feels super goofy, because it feels goofy doing it. I will turn this camera around and point it at the collection that's in this room and maybe just kind of start to go through and perhaps like highlight some of the favorite products versus trying to show every single product because I don't even know how to do that. Like, I don't know how to go through the 80 lipsticks, for example, that are in this room. That would be crazy and obnoxious and time consuming and the backs of my hands would be raw from swiping and wiping off. So bear with me. This is the first time I'm doing this entire makeup collection thing. Let's try it. Okay, let me see if I can pull this off without it feeling or looking too goofy. I guess I should talk about a couple of products that I think I am likely going to get rid of first. So I have moved some products over into this room and then there's a bunch of stuff in my bathroom, which is where I typically will get ready. Two products that I brought over here with intent to use, but I have a feeling I will likely need to get rid of them soon, unfortunately, because they are way beyond expired and I'm taking chances here. They are 2 of the Natasha Denona Diamond and Blush. These are like face palettes that came out a very long time ago. I wanna say that these are, I don't know, you all, probably 8 to 10 years old, maybe even older than that. So that is what they look like. They're actually quite pretty. Sorry, this is gonna be really awkward with the ring lights here. So these are Natasha Denona blushes, highlights, cream, glowy bases, and you're supposed to be able to have a lot of fun with this. I have, for the most part, moved away from face palettes. I think I've used these perhaps each a handful of times. I want to use them more before I decide to get rid of them. There are some lovely products, like you see that this is particularly glowy here. Let me show you the other one. I mean, like, how pretty is this enormous compact, right? Here are the colors of the other one. So you see almost like a lemony color. Anyway, these are like mix and match your own adventure for glow and color on your face. And I just have not gravitated to these as much as I thought I would, but they are beautiful palettes and I'm hesitant to get rid of them, but I think I may need to over time. So I'm keeping them here to see if I use them or not. This is going to be in like no order, just all over the place. I have this Z palette of colors that I pulled. These are Natasha Denona shadows, I think. This one looks hard panned here. Doesn't that look gross? It looks like it has some kind of skin infection. It's not the case. It's just a little hard pan. You'd have to scratch that off. Same thing here. These are, for the most part, older shadows. I forgot where I got these up here from. But these are ones that I pulled out when I rearranged all of my Natasha Denona palettes and put them into color schemes that I personally preferred or thought I would use more. And these are ones that I wasn't ready to get rid of. Have I reached for this? Not at all. Are these colors that I would reach for? Perhaps, especially these in here, perhaps some of these, even these shimmers. These are gorgeous. In fact, I might move these shimmers somewhere else, like create a completely different palette of just shimmers. I'm not sure. So, putting that aside, here's a palette I purchased a long time ago and really have not used. I think I might have used this under 3 times. This is from Scott Barnes. It's called the Mesmerize Eyeshadow Palette. It had a sleeve on it that had like animal eyes. Maybe, I don't know, leopard eyes or cheetah eyes or something. But look at how beautiful this is. Wow. Wowzers. This is a bunch of different like shimmers. So you are supposed to, as I understand the palette to work, put one of these darker bases on your eye and then one of these beautiful shimmers over it. I should probably move one of these ring lights. Give me a second. Okay, that'll probably, there you go. That'll help us out. So you're supposed to put these shimmers over. Sorry, this camera is going to jump all over the place. I apologize. I'm going to try to avoid that. Put the shimmers over the darker colors. So there's like a more reflective like black midnight blue kind of color here, and then a regular matte black, and then all these shimmer shades in different colors that you can put over. Beautiful palette, very glitzy, very high shine, very like for going out or for high impact. And I'm just not doing that these days. So these are for like filming. I should probably pull it out here during the holidays for some of my looks, but it's super gorgeous and I'm not ready to get rid of it. So I want to play with it some more. And then I've got the 3 Natasha Denona, well, not the 3, 3 of many Natasha Denona, like, blush palettes. This is the Bloom Blush and Glow, which has the more like mauvey, almost purpley color here. The idea of these cheek palettes is there's a glowy version of like a highlighter, a cream base, a couple of cream bases, and then the blush. And you can, of course, mix and match these. You can do your whole face in these if you really would like, whatever you like. These are really cute, adorable palettes. I'm not ready to get rid of these, but I moved these over here to maybe use them more while I'm filming. This one is the Tan Bronze and Glow palette. This is like my color scheme here, really quite beautiful. But you see what I mean? In a previous video, I talked about how cream products are getting on my nerves. Here's an example of one. You see that hair right there from a brush, not from me. Actually, there's two brush hairs in there. Oh, it looks like I'm maybe hitting pan there at the side. Anyway, I get annoyed by when that happens with cream products, but this could be a nice bronzer or a dark cheek in the summer if you are, more like my skin tone and then more tan, a glowy shade, etc. You get the concept. Then there's the bronze cheek face glow palettes. Another beautiful color story here. This one is the cleanest, although I've probably used this the most. Like, look at that. I have really been digging in that one. But these are beautiful. I think I have maybe 1 or 2 others in the other room that I'll show you. I have this is like my 80 plus lipsticks that are over here. I won't go through all of these, but I do wanna point out a few formulas that I particularly am enamored with. We have talked about the Gucci formula. This one is in the color Eliza Ginger. These are just some of the creamiest, most beautiful, long-lasting lipsticks, and they're very, very opaque, which I like. We've talked about Tom Ford lipsticks recently, so I won't give that any shine. These are the Urban Decay lipsticks, which I like the compact here. They look like bullets, which is kind of a fun theme there. They've got such a wide range of colors. I have everything from like neutral, your lips, but better kinds of colors like this to really deep. I'm so sorry that the camera keeps jumping. How do I make that stop? I find it annoying to look at, and I apologize that you have to look at that. Anyway, I've got a lot of Urban Decay colors. Let me see what happens if I shift the camera just a little bit, if it continues to jump around. I also love this kind of Urban Decay, the ones that come in these packages. I don't especially I like the packaging, but I don't like the way that it closes is what I mean to say. There's this like oblique design here where you can only put the cap on in one direction, and that's just kind of annoying when you're in a rush. Again, these are like very minimal, problems in the scheme of life, right? But I have these in all kinds of colors and love them as well. Nice opaque formula, very reliable. Of course, all of my Natasha Denona lipsticks. I have almost all of this line, the I Need a Nude lipsticks. This is the color Claudia, for example. These are easy going, your lips but better kinds of colors. And they come in a decent range of tones. I don't even know if those are available anymore, sold anymore. This one is called Maria. I do love my Pat McGrath lipstick formulas. I don't especially love the packaging. I did when I first got them, and then like over time they just started to feel a little gaudy with the lips on them. It's a bit much, but the colors are really beautiful, very pigmented. They go on thick and they stay on thick for most of the day. And she's got a beautiful range of colors. Pat McGrath. Is that what I said, or did I say a different brand name? Sorry, it's Pat McGrath. I adore all of the packaging of the Charlotte lipsticks. Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks. Like, look at this. This one is Only Muse, and it's got that sort of like fiery, what is this? A cheetah? Not a cheetah. I forget what these are called. The stripes. Leopard? Anyway, what a beautiful color. These are nice in terms of the fact that they go on your lips really easily. They glide on. They've got nice slip. I find that these don't last quite as long as the Gucci ones, for example, or the Natasha Denona ones, or even the Urban Decay. But they've got a fun color selection, and they have a little slip to them, and they're hydrating. They're a little tiny bit less opaque. So it really just depends what kind of formula you like. And I enjoy the casings for this. Like here's another one. How pretty is that? You see that with the little gems on it? This is the color Mrs. Kisses. I don't know if this is sold anymore. Look how gross that looks, but it's one of my one of my favorite colors. Of course, I have got to give a shout out to L'Oreal and Maybelline. If you don't want to spend 40, 50, $60 on a lipstick or more, let me tell you something. L'Oreal and Maybelline slay the drugstore game, and the formulas of these compete with any of their high-end counterparts. And boy, do they have quite the range of, I was going to say fragrances, quite the range of colors that are beautiful. They are, let me see, I think both of them, yeah, both of them have a little bit of fragrance. I think the L'Oreal one is more fragrance than the Maybelline one. One thing I don't like is that you have the stickers on them. So that's kind of annoying. I don't like stickers on my dang products, but that's what happens, at the drugstore. They have to scan it somehow. And these typically then don't come in additional boxing. They come just like this, and you pull them out of the rack and you take it up to the counter and pay for them. But if you want to save some money and you want a fabulous formula, get yourself some L'Oreal or Maybelline lipsticks. You will not be disappointed. Except of course if you don't like fragrance. Then it's a problem. Like, look at this one. This is called Jennifer's Nude. This is a line that was inspired by J-Lo. I'm not sure if she created these or it was just, one of the faces of it, but this is 370 Jennifer's Nude. Your lips but better kind of color. Here's another very pretty Charlotte Tilbury compact here in the color Supermodel, which is I think 90s inspired. Looks like a 90s color, right? I also really like the formula of Hourglass lipsticks. I'm not as crazy about these compacts because of this slant. So you have to sit it on its butt, if you will. You can't put it in like that, or it'll look goofy in your collection. But love the little hourglass symbol with the little rabbit in it. These are especially creamy formulas. This is in the color Unlocked Reef 320. So I like that they're both matte with a little bit of slip, and they're very, very comfortable formulas to wear. I will also say among the more comfortable lip stain formulas for me, and I'm not really like a lip stain person or a liquid lip person, but there are a few that I enjoy. This Huda Beauty one, this is the liquid matte, and this is in the color Slatina. Slatina. It's like an orangey red, and I think I also have the color Miss America. I will go ahead and swatch these, or swatch this one rather. It goes on pretty dreamy and pretty dewy. The thing with liquid lips is you have to allow them to dry before you can kind of touch your lips together. That's the best way to go. And some people are just impatient. I am one of those people. I like to put my lips together right away when I put a formula on. So that gets a little bit annoying. But this is one of the better liquid lip formulas and it lasts and the color range is very, very pretty. I think I have like 3 or 4 of these. Like here's another one in the color Venus. That's like an everyday easy neutral. So if you are a liquid lip kind of person, check out the Huda formula. So then a few items in the primer direction. I have raved about this Becca, what do you call it? I always forget the full name of it, and it's a long name. Anti-fatigue under eye primer. It's kind of like this putty consistency. I have about 8 backups of these because the brand went out of business or got bought out partially by, I think it's Stila. And so this is like a putty consistency. It's a dry kind of consistency. And you put this under your eyes and it acts like spackle. It spackles in all of the fine lines, especially if you don't over apply. And then you can put your concealer on over that and then your concealer behaves itself. A couple of other like priming materials. I have the Vanish Airbrush Primer, which I really do like. It does give an airbrush effect. You put this on your skin and it kind of blurs out pores, at least for me, on either side of my nose and like on the cheek areas. It makes it look like my pores are either filled in or smaller. I do enjoy the Hourglass Veil Eye Primer. It's a very simple eye primer. And does this one, I feel like this one doesn't have color to it. Do I remember correctly? Okay, it does have a little bit of like a skin tint color, at least for me, but it's very like almost transparent or translucent, maybe is a better word. I still use occasionally the Anastasia eye primer. This one you have to be really careful with because a little goes a long way. I'll show you what I mean. Like there's just a dot of it, and then it just spreads and spreads and spreads and spreads. And it's kind of like white in color. So it can really affect the way that your eyeshadow looks. And it can affect it in a good way. If you want your eyeshadow to really pop, having a white base can be a good thing. I absolutely adore my Hygen Skin Glass Energizing and Hydrating Primer Serum from Natasha Denona, one of the glowiest formulas ever. This could be a primer alone, or you could put it on over primer if you want like extra dewy shine. Yes, I still have this old bottle. Look, it's separating of the Charlotte Tilbury. What the heck is this thing called? I want to say it's like the Hollywood something filter. And I have mine in the color 3 light medium. This is another one that you could put at the high points of your face for additional shine, or you can use it as a primer for your whole face if you would like extra hydration and a bit of a dewy look underneath, for example, a matte primer. You could put it on over your foundation as well and just like high spots on your cheek and whatever to give it a little bit of extra shine. Here are the concealers that I keep in this room. So I have the Conceal the Deal Lawless Concealer in the color Cashew. This is great. I haven't used this in a long time. It's a full coverage concealer. And a little goes a long way of this one. People don't really talk about this one anymore, but I still think it's a good concealer. I adore the Dior Forever Skin Correct concealers. I think I have several of these. This one is in the color 6M. And I like that these are hydrating. They give you decent medium coverage and they look very natural. I have several of these Huda Beauty Faux Filter concealers. one in the color Cookie Dough 43N, and another in Granola 4.5G. What the heck does the G stand for? Golden, maybe? These are nice full coverage concealers as well, very creamy. They glide on very easily. I think these are among the easier concealers to use. I wonder if I put my hand farther back, if that will prevent the camera from jumping around. I apologize for that. I do have a third one, but it's a repeat color because I thought I had lost my granola one. So I ended up repurchasing. I have this Morphe concealer. This is also a good concealer. I probably need to shake this up. I haven't used it in a long time. Because your products are separated does not mean that they're expired or anything is wrong with them. It's not unnatural. In other words, it is fine for your products to separate like this, and you can really just shake them back up and continue to use them. Of course, friends, if you have any concerns with your makeup being expired or it smells funny or it's performing weird, get rid of it. Don't take the chance. I just happen to know that most products are totally fine. I also like this Tint Idol Ultra Wear from Lancome. This is another high coverage concealer. Mine is in the color 260. I have two Dior concealers in this exact same color. What is wrong with me? 6M. Are these the same? Dior Forever Skin Correct, Skin Correct. Yes, but why do they look like different colors? Hold on, something's got to be different between these. Don't tell me I bought it in the exact same color. Y'all, I'm such a dodo bird. These are not in the color 6M. What is wrong with me? That is 6M, meaning 6-month shelf life. Which I completely ignore because these are like 2 years old. I'm going to keep using them. I have the color 2N and 3W, 2 neutral and 3 warm. That makes more sense. Oh my. And I really like these a lot. The 3W is probably more my vibe in terms of the right color. This 2N is probably feeling light, but when you want to brighten under the eyes, that'll work. I've got the Milani Conceal and Perfect, a great drugstore concealer, and it doesn't have a whole lot of writing on it, but it does have the dang sticker. Darn it. And it's in the color 130 light beige. You can see I'm almost done with this. I only have a little bit left to go on this one. Love the Armani concealer. What is your official name? Luminous Silk Concealer in the color 4.5. Adore this. I like Armani skin products. They really do work for me. And then I have the Makeup Forever Ultra HD what is this? Anti crease? Long Wear Light Capturing Self-Setting Concealer. What a name. This is in the color 30, which is a bit light for me, but it works. I think that's it for concealer. I've got the Monsieur Big Lancome mascara, which is a longtime favorite. It gives you big, wet lashes. So if you like the kind of like spidery look where you can build up, I don't ever build up to a spidery look, but if you like it, you can do it with the Monsieur Big. It is a very wet, opaque formula, and it gives you thickness and volume, and it's like a long-standing favorite. I have been through tube after tube of this Kosas Air Brow. This is in the color medium brown. This is probably like my fourth or fifth tube of this. I also have one in my bathroom. It has a little wand. Look at how cute that little wand is for you to brush up through your brows, and it gives your brows like a little bit of fiber. I also have used this Anastasia brow gel. This is in the color brunette, although it has a little bit of a goldy tint to it. This one has a bigger, fluffier wand if you want that. And then I also have held on to this NYX Tinted Brow Mascara. What color are you? In the color chocolate. All these are staying. If anything, what would I let go of here? Maybe the Morphe. I don't know. We'll try it again. The Filter Effect. I remember it being a really great concealer, so I'm willing to use it again. Oh, this is the Ulta Beauty Under Eye Primer. So it has the same effect as the Becca Under Eye Primer that I showed you, where it kind of sort of spackles your under eye area and creates a surface that you can put your concealer onto. I'm noticing that this is maybe dried out. Hold on a second. Ew, it's goopy and gross. I think I'm gonna get rid of this. See you later. Of course, I keep my Cinema Secrets makeup brush remover here. This is something I will spray onto like a microfiber cloth. Make sure there's like a little bit of a wet spot. Then I'll take my brush and swirl it into that wet spot to get the makeup off or release the makeup or eyeshadow or whatever it is, blush or powder, so that I can reuse the brush cleanly. Then I have a little collection of lip liners here. I won't go through all of these because that wouldn't make any sense, but I will say among my favorites from this is an eyebrow product, but are these Huda Beauty ones. These are the Lip Contour 2.0. I really love a warm color. Both of these are warm brown. I love them that much. They aren't the longest lasting. It's a very creamy formula, but that is an easy color that goes with a lot of different kinds of lipsticks. So I have some here. I have some in my other room. I've repurchased them. Oh, this is warm brown too. So I have 3. Apparently, I don't want to run out of warm browns. I have them in 3 colors there. I mean, excuse me, 3 tubes of warm brown. And of course, you've all heard about the Makeup Forever artist pencils. I have them in just about all the colors except the super dark ones, like Anywhere Caffeine. Very easy, neutral brown that goes with both cool tone and warm tone. You see what I mean about that Anastasia eye primer? It's like white and almost creates like a chalk-like background, not in terms of the texture, but in terms of the color. It's like white, chalky looking, but if you want your eyeshadow to really pop, if you have a dramatic look, this is a good primer to use so the colors really like take off, if you will, are vibrant against that white background. A few very light, bright color things that kind of add some pop. I have rocked really hard with this Flexitarian Super Shock Cheek from ColourPop. I don't use this on my cheek. I use this as an inner corner highlight for the most part. Look how blingy, ingy, ingy this is. Okay, look how thick that is. Pow! You can put it on your eyelid, but I usually will just take like a pointy brush and put that in the inner corner of my eye as a highlight. That's why you see it looks like it has all these divots because I'm constantly sticking like a little pencil brush in there to grab just a little bit. I've talked a little bit about this Makeup Forever Starlit powder. I'm scared to open it because it's like a finely milled powder. I don't know if you can see in there, but it has this glittery effect, like how it looks on the inside of this cap. Again, you can use this as a like a lid shade if you want a little pow, a little razzle dazzle, or an inner corner highlight. Or I suppose you could use this as like an intergalactic highlighter on your cheek if you were bold. But this is some powerful stuff. This little thing packs a punch, and this is in the color Iridescent Pearl. Iridescent Pearl. This is available on Sephora. I'm not going to link all of these products because I would be here for forever. So Sephora and Ulta are where I get the majority of my makeup products these days. Back when I was into comparing, drugstore and high end, of course, I shopped at the drugstore as well. Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, etc. I have two of these Living Luminizer shades from RMS Beauty that I love. These are they look like they're very colorful, but what they do, it's like a cream formula, and it provides a almost like a dewy highlight. I don't even know if that's showing up there, like a dewy highlight. And you can put it on your cheek. This is in the color, oh gosh, I don't know that I have a color here, a color name. The number is 178L. Oh, this is called the Living Luminizer, and this one is called the Magic Luminizer. Maybe that is the color name. And this one is a little bit more goldy. They're very dewy, very wet. See how it gives it like a sheen? It's perfect for right in here. It's perfect for the cheek. If you like a more subtle shine, you don't want something quite as obnoxious as the Flexitarian color from ColourPop here, these luminizers are beautiful. I'll share just a few of the blushes that I have over here on this side of the world. Of course, the new Hung Van Gogh Possibilities. I used this in a recent video, if you remember. This one has like this pumpkiny orangey shade that actually translates really beautifully on the skin, but looks wild in the pan. That looks like it's going to be very sort of like a burnt color on your face, and it doesn't. It doesn't look like that, like a burnt orange. It actually looks very well, it looks bad on my finger there, but maybe I need to clean my fingers. But it looks there you go, a little bit more like diffused on the face. I still have some of the Buxom blushes. This is in the color Seychelles, which was made super popular a few years ago, especially by Tati Westbrook. It looks like a natural flush on the skin. I also have the color Mykonos, beautiful pinky peachy color. These are nicely pigmented and they last all day, and they're a great little size too. This one is Ibiza. Ibiza, if you want to do the Castilian pronunciation. Ibiza. I have this RMS Beauty blush in the color Maiden's, what is that called? Maiden's Blush. Kind of earth tone, terracotta-y brown color. I love the stamping on it. I think that's just unique and interesting. I mean, I gotta have the NARS Orgasm. This is like one of the products that started it all for me. My little sister put me onto this blush, and I think she bought it for me, and she bought me something else for my face. And it's part of what started my more recent makeup craze back in maybe like, I don't know, 2007, 2008. This is a Patrick Ta one in the color Do We Know Her? And I love that it's a peachy color. I will say, although I fell for the hype of these and bought a couple of these, I'm not a huge fan of the fact that there's a cream and a powder together. I don't really need that. I prefer one or the other. I just don't like the mess of the compact, like I was saying about it. But anyway, this is a beautiful sort of peachy, corally color that I think is looks beautiful on my skin. I can't find where the others are, but I know that I have at least 3 different liquid blushes from Rare Beauty. This one is in the color Peace, and I really love these. These are the small ones. This is all you need. If you buy the big one, good luck to you trying to make any kind of dent in it. It's wild. These, you only need like 2 or 3 drops per cheek, maybe just 1 drop if you want a really diffused, easygoing look. These are gorgeous and they spread very easily. Okay, I'm gonna go next to the bronzers that are in this room. And again, I have a whole separate collection in my bathroom that I'll show you all after this. I still have my Scott Barnes Sculpting and Contoured #1 palette. Look at this thing. Wowzers, wowzers. So this is like every bronzing or contouring color you could ever need. There's cool tone, there's dark, you can mix and match, and I adore this. I've used it quite a bit and will continue to use it. You can get some pretty dramatic looks out of this. I don't know if this is still sold. I don't know if Scott Barnes brand is still going. I'll check and put it on the screen for you as we're talking here, but this is good bang for your buck because of the variety of tones that you get, especially if you really like to play with makeup. Of course, you can use these for eyeshadow. You can use these for blush. Like this one has a little bit of a pinky tone. It's just a magnificent palette, and the pans are fairly decently sized for getting in a big brush if you so choose. Yes, I still have the Tarte Park Avenue Princess palette. I still think this is one of the best packaging ever. It's got the texture on it. It's a beautiful applique or whatever you call this of the like plastic that looks like metal name. I think it's gorgeous. And here are the colors, which I still use. I don't really use these over here, which is why one of the reasons I stopped purchasing palettes like this that have a variety of, spectrum of colors, with the exception of like the Scott Barnes. I think this one is phenomenal. But so that Mary Phillips like underpainting palette that came out, and it came out in different colors. I was very tempted to purchase it. I went in store and looked at it, swatched it. First of all, I'm trying to stay away from cream products. Second of all, I know I wouldn't use all the colors, especially the light ones. I've stopped purchasing light powders like this. Like I use setting powders and I use finishing powders, but they're different and they're loose. This isn't really my vibe, but these here I really, really like. I think they're all beautiful. They still perform well, and this palette is old as dirt. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this palette is 10 years old or more, and it's still going strong, and Imma keep it. Moving along, Patrick Ta again, the other thing about these palettes that's annoying, or these, compacts, is, of course, they get fingerprints all over them, so I like them when they're clean, and the minute you start using them, they get really really gross. So this one is called She Sculpted. This is, again, the same kind of idea where you have a cream product and a powder product. This one is more cooler toned on the cream and a little bit more neutral warm on the powder. Beautiful color, and I won't buy any more of these because you see how gross it gets. I can't stand that, but I like the product itself. I'm going kind of in size order here. This is Soleil, Scott Barnes Soleil bronzer in Bondi Beach. This is the palette or the compact of all compacts. Like, look how ginormous that is. That's my hand. This thing is probably as big as my face. It's a great palette. It's got just a color rather. It's got just a little tiny bit of sheen, so you get like a little bit of a glowy effect. I like the imprint on it. I've raved and raved about the Tom Ford bronzers. I love this compact. I think this is actually a true luxury feeling compact, and I appreciate it. I like the stamping, nice details like that. This one is in the color Gold Dust. I also have the Terra color in the other room. This is the bigger packaging. I mean, here's the size of my hand to give you some perspective. I think this is worth every penny. It's a nice, subtle bronzer. You can build it up, but it feels like an airbrush look. That's very nice. I bragged in a recent video that I actually hit pan on my Charlotte Tilbury bronzer. This is in the color 2 medium. I don't know that I'll repurchase this. It's been great. There you go. I hit pan. Yay. I don't know that I'll repurchase this only because I have so many other bronzers that I absolutely adore. And I don't know that there's anything super special about this one that would make me run out and get it again, although it has been great and I've worn it and it's been fine. Of course, I adore my Gucci bronzers. I have one here and one in the other room. This one is in the color 4, which is one of the deeper colors. It's a little bit on the reddy side, so just know that, like red-ish tones. And it's great. And it's a great eyeshadow too as well. My preferred color is 3, and we'll show you that in the other room. I talked recently about this Huda Beauty Tantor, Contour, and Bronzer Cream. This is in the color medium. One of the only cream products that I have enjoyed keeping. It stayed clean. I mean, it looks wild in there with all those indentations, but it's a clean product. And I like that it has a well that sits up a little higher than the cream to contain the cream in there when you're swirling your brush around. That's a really clever design. So, this is one of the few cream products that I don't have any complaints about. I have Tower 28 in the color Bronzino. This is more like a dewy highlighter that makes you look glowy. You see how it's shiny there? So it's like you can use this as eyeshadow. You can use this as highlighter on your cheek if you want to be bold and use uh, a color like that. Did I say it's in Bronzino? It's the Bronzino bronzer in the color West Coast. Sorry about that. So there you go. I would not repurchase this simply because I don't care for this lucite packaging or whatever this is called, acrylic packaging. Bobbi Brown bronzers. I have a few. This is in the color Golden Light. This is probably my favorite of them all. Sort of a neutral, medium toned bronzer. These go on really diffused and lovely, and it's a really easy color. This is an interesting product. It's called Glow Wish Soft Radiance Bronzing Powder. This is in the color 2 medium from Huda Beauty. While I don't love all the like wording on the package and all of that, this is a nice soft powder for your look. It does go on really easy, and it's a subtle color. Like this comes off nice medium brown. It's nice. Okay, let's look at my powders. All right, I have just a few powders over in this room. I won't repurchase this just because of the packaging. At one point, I thought I would, but this is the Pat McGrath, Skin Fetish Sublime Perfecting Blurring Under Eye Powder. I have two of these. This one is in the color light. Actually, I panned this one too. So you see that this is, you can see around the rim of that because it's almost done. It is a beautiful, finely milled powder. Yes, you can use it for under your eyes. I have used it to set my entire face, and the compact is a little cheesy for Pat McGrath, and you see that the lettering rubbed off. So that kind of annoys me for the price tag. I have a little tiny Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. I may move this into like my travel bag. I don't know why I have this sitting out here, but this is a great powder, very reliable. I have two of these MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Natural powders. This one is medium golden. I think these are intended to be used all over the face as foundation, if I'm not mistaken. I have used these as a little bit of a heavier setting powder. They are nicely finely milled. There's a little bit of creaminess to them. They're beautiful powders. And I also have the color medium tan. I don't think this is sold anymore, but I do have the Becca Soft Light Blurring Powder in Golden Hour. What a gorgeous compact here. This is really nice. Too bad Becca went out of business. There were some great products. This is a beautiful, another finely milled setting powder that gives additional coverage if you like that. And then this is no longer sold, but I adore it and I'm going to use it till it's finished. I think this is the Marc Jacobs Perfecting Coconut Setting Powder. Love the little compact. How cute is that? And this is in the color 34 Invisible. This compact, first of all, is very easy to handle and it's got the nice netting inside, and it is just a delight to use. It's nicely covering, full coverage covering, or full coverage, I guess. However you say that, friends, this is the powder to beat. This is a good one, and it's too bad that this is no longer available. Let's move on to foundation, and then we'll do eyeshadow here, and then we'll go to my bathroom. I'm realizing I'm probably gonna have to break this up into two different videos because it's too much for one video. And it won't be like normal people where they're like, "Let me show you my lipsticks and bronzers," or something, and then the next one, they show you a different category. For me, it's the filming room versus the non the non-filming room. Sorry about that, like, how random that is. Okay, foundations. The All Hours YSL foundation. This is nice. It's a decent coverage, medium to full. This does have a little sunscreen in it, not that I care. The packaging isn't the cutest, if you ask me, considering some of the packaging that YSL has come up with lately. This one is in the color BD40 Warm Sand, which I think is probably a little bit light for me. So it's one that I usually have to mix with bronzing drops or something like that, or use a lot of bronzer on my face afterward. The iconic Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Makeup Foundation. This was in 3N1, 3 Neutral 1, Ivory Beige. I think this is maybe a tad light for me in color. This is one of the most full coverage, beautiful foundations. This is the thing about this one. If you put on too much, you got to do like a light coat. If you put on too much, it can look cakey. People don't really talk about that, but I have made the mistake, especially when I was newer to foundation, because this was one of my early ones. that, I put on several layers and had regrets. I really like most of my, or all rather, of my Tom Ford foundations. I haven't had problems out of them. Some last longer than others. This one is the Traceless Foundation. I think this is discontinued. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember. I have mine in the color 6.0 Natural. If you have a cosmetics company store near you, I would highly advise getting your Tom Ford products from there. I got this for more than half off there, more than half off, because these foundations are ridiculous. The new ones that came out, they're $95. I think I might have seen some over the $100 range. Just wild, but they're beautiful. And I love this one, 6.0 Natural. Speaking of natural, one of the easiest wearing foundations ever. This looks so natural, like natural skin. I'm about down to here on this one. This is the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation in the color 3.5N. Thin, sheer formula. Well, I wouldn't say sheer, just thin. And you look like you look natural. You can see your pores and your texture on your skin. What this does do is it evens out the skin tone on your face. So, if you have some areas of your face that are a little splotchier than others, this will do the trick and it's a little bit luminizing. So, you just look like your natural, beautiful self. This is maybe one of my most recommended foundations here, the Dior Backstage, for those of you that want a natural look. Now, for those of you that want a full beat and you want a no fail foundation that gives you full coverage, looks fairly natural, but is just out like a flawless, outstanding foundation, I adore the Il Makiage line. I got mine in a color that's a little too dark for me. This is 155 Woke Up Like This. You can see it's a little bit more on like the caramelly side, but man, is this a gorgeous foundation, full coverage, very easy to apply, has a little bit of a luminous look, and is just gorgeous. I think you can only order this on the Il Makiage site, but when I tell you this is one of the most flawless looking foundations, you got to try it. And then back to some natural looks. I do like the Dior foundations. I have a bunch of them. This is the Forever Skin Glow foundation in the color, what color are you? 3WO. I guess that's 3 warm olive. So it has a little bit of a slightly, I hate to say this on camera because people are going to misunderstand what I mean, but a slightly warm green undertone. That's really what olive is. And if you understand color theory, or if you ever taken an art class and had to mix colors, you know what I'm saying. Like this is a very warm, almost like what color would I consider this? Maybe like a something in the toffee direction or caramel with a little hint of green, which is the olive part. So that's 3WO. I'm not an olive tone gal. I don't know what business I had choosing that color, but I like it and it works on me. So this is the also a Dior foundation, Dior Forever, transfer proof 24-hour high perfection concentrated floral skincare. What the heck with sunscreen? That's not the name of this foundation. We're just going to call it the Dior Forever foundation, all right? And this is in the color 3 Neutral. It has a little bit of a more frosted glass, and I forget what the difference is of this, but I know that I like it and I've used it a lot. I think the Skin Glow is dewier, and the Forever one is maybe just, like a demi matte where there's a little bit of luminosity, but not quite a lot. All right, moving on to the next row of foundations. We have talked about this very Valentino light lasting perfecting foundation. This is in the color MN4 medium neutral 4. I think I needed a bit of a darker color. I have a theory that these are either discontinued or about to be discontinued because you don't really see them sold anymore. And where they are sold, there are very limited colors, which is typically an indication that something is either being discontinued or reformulated. Hopefully, just reformulated or something because I really enjoy this line. And I think the packaging is kind of pretty with that red top and the Valentino symbol and the wraparound gold on the top. It's cute. She cute. An affordable and wonderful foundation is the Morphe one. This one is called the Filter Effect Soft Focus Foundation. It's medium to full coverage. Mine is in the color tan 17, tan 17. Beautiful. I would say this is mostly medium coverage, very easy. It really does a lovely job of evening out color on your skin without looking cakey, without looking overdone, without looking too heavy. And it moves nicely with your face. So this is a really great affordable one. On the opposite side of things, this is an interesting foundation. This is the Hourglass Ambient Soft Glow Foundation. This one is in the color 9, ambient 9. So it's a little bit golden. If you look at the undertone of that, it's a little bit on like the cashew colored side. It is a very heavy foundation. So you have to apply this thinly. unless you want super full coverage. You will get it with this. It doesn't play around. It really is one of those foundations that like absolutely cancels out your natural skin. It pretty much cancels it out. This takes over. So if that's what you're going for, absolutely full coverage, try this out. I believe it's this one. Maybe I'm thinking of one that's in my hold on, let me see. Let's try it out. Nope, it's this one. You see how thick that is? Like it's not moving at all. This is a very, very thick foundation. It will not budge. It will not budge. You do have to be careful with it. Don't put a whole lot on, keep it on the thinner side, or it will look cakey on your skin. But if you like a full coverage, no nonsense, came to slay and came to cancel out all your problems, this is the one. I don't think I have the right color in this, but I make it work. Again, I got this on super sale at one of the outlet stores. The Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate Soft Radiance Foundation. This one does have SPF 50, which, I appreciate. Of course, we know we should not rely on our makeup products for skincare, but not bad. And then this is in the color 6.5 Sable, which is a little bit on the cool side for me. I would prefer a bit of a warmer color, but nonetheless, I have it. I got it on sale and I make it work. And I like it. It's a beautiful foundation with like a luminosity to it that is just nice. Then we have the Lancome Teint Idol or Teint Idol Ultra Wear. These both have a little bit of SPF as well. I have them in the colors 360, I think that says BIS. Is that bisque neutral? And then I have the color, I don't know what the BIS stands for. Am I making that up? 360 and then 270. BIS warm or something. Anyway, both of these are too light for me. I make them work and I put bronzing drops in them. It's a beautiful foundation. This is another one that's a very natural wearing, long wearing foundation. It says up to 24-hour. I ain't keeping no foundation on my face for 24 hours, at the most 12 hours, like if I apply it super early in the morning and take it off super late at night. But these are lovely. They go on well. They're pretty decent coverage, medium to full coverage, and they are very comfortable formulas. So I'll give it that. It says wear and comfort, transfer resistance, and that is true. So if I could find my perfect color, these might move up in like my own personal ranking, but these are really delightful foundations. Last 2 foundations for the filming room. I've got about 20 more in the other space that I'll show you. Tom Ford Traceless Soft Matte Foundation. I don't think this is made anymore. I have this in the color 5.7 Dune. This one is a little bit dewy and is a little bit more light coverage. Gorgeous compact. I mean, I really enjoy the Tom Ford packaging. It's beautiful. And then maybe one of the unsung heroes of the foundation world. This is the Shiseido Synchro Skin Radiant Lifting Foundation. Pretty full coverage, very natural full coverage looking, and it gives you a little bit of dewiness, which I adore. This one is in the color 350 Maple. I believe I went through the other bottle of this that I have because I don't see it here, but I used to have a color that was a little bit lighter, and I really liked both of them. Very, very nice foundations. They go on well, they stay put, they behave all day. This, if I don't know if these are still available or discontinued, but fantastic formula. That's the Synchro Skin Radiant Lifting one. There's another formula as well that is equally wonderful. Let's look at a few eyeshadows and then we're going to close out this part one of the makeup collection. Actually, I have 2 other Scott Barnes palettes. That one is the Chic Cheek #1. I should have talked about this when I talked about the blushes. Sorry about that. It's sitting over there with my eyeshadows. Look at that. I mean, if you are a makeup artist or someone who enjoys having a lot of the, different kinds of products like tones and whatever in one palette, how beautiful is this? You can mix and match everything from this like fuchsia color. This mango fizz looks wild in the pan and it's beautiful on skin. It's such a nice little, like, tropical vibe. You've got your pinky colors, your sort of, like a salmon corally color, and then a more berry color, and then you have 2 highlighters. You can mix and match these to your heart's delight. You can put your brush in several of these at one time and come up with your own look. This is a brilliant palette and was very, very underrated when it came out. Same thing with the Scott Barnes Glowy and Showy palette. This is obviously for highlights. Look at this. You can use this on your eyes as well for a pop of highlight in the middle of your lid. Beautiful selections, everything from very light colors here to more showy colors and everything in between. I mean, like Scott Barnes, even though these packages are a little bit on the less expensive side, but what great palettes. These and then the bronzer palette that I showed you, fabulous. Okay, on to the eyeshadows. Now, mind you, I have given away so many eyeshadows during the years. I really love eyeshadow. I would have closets full of them all, but I only have two eyeballs. And I kind of enjoy using a palette, figuring out if I want to keep it or not, and then I'm passing them along to my daughter and her friends. And any other the young ladies that come over here that are friends with my kids are welcome to products that I have. So anyway, this is the Patrick Ta Major Dimension Eyeshadow Palette. I think this is the first one. Yeah, this is the first one. This is gorgeous. This is right up my alley in terms of the color story. I appreciate these, pardon all the fingerprints and grossness, but that there's a variety of tones here, and then some shimmer shades and some thicker, like they're not glittery, but a little bit more. I forget what they're called. I always forget the difference in the sheens. Oh my gosh. You have like a shimmery shade, you have a satin shade, you have the glitter shades. These are not quite glittery, but they're pretty chunky, some of these. Like that's a chunky one. They go on nicely though. This is a beautiful color story. It does have the two creams over here. If you want to lay those down for a little bit of impact or put those down first and some of these over that, you get the idea. Again, you have the fingerprint magnet issue, but nice formula. The next four are Natasha Denona. Shocker, I have the Glam palette in here. Everyone still goes pretty crazy over this palette, which tells you about its versatility, usability, and longevity. So this is a great palette that has both cool tones and some neutral, warmer leaning tones over there. You can mix and match these to your heart's content. One of the things that Natasha Denona did with this palette in particular is put in the palette itself where she thinks the shadow is best used. Like if it's an inner corner, if it's a transition shade like this one, you can use this one for the crease. I mean, of course, you can use them wherever you want. You can use this one for the lash line. She's labeled it the lash line. She at least gives you an idea of where to use them. This is like a classic palette that, it'll never do you wrong. It's always going to be an appropriate color story. So this is like one of those staple products. Then this next palette I tried to give away. I actually tried to sell it on Mercari. Nobody wanted it. And I pulled it back off of Mercari and decided I wanted to keep it. This is the Retro palette. And the reason that I felt that way about it at first is because these kind of rosy tones I have to be careful with. They can look very lovely and romantic on my eyes, or it can look like somebody punched me in the eye. And I need to go to the doctor, or like I have an infection in my eye or something. So I have to be careful about how I apply these and make sure that I have a warm tone paired with some of these like berry tones so that I don't get that weird look. I do love like the purpley tones like these. They look really nice with brown eyes. There's some beautiful shimmer shades. Or rather, I guess that's like a satin shade. This is a little bit more of a shimmer shade, as is that. But it's a beautiful color story, no doubt. And I'm glad that I decided to keep it and not give up on it. One of the more fun palettes that this line released last year was the Yucca palette. First of all, the packaging is just gorgeous. It feels good in hand. It's got like this like almost like a suede feel, even though it's plastic, right? And here's the color story. This can be a more challenging color story, but it's a fun one. I've gotten some very, very pretty looks out of this. The shimmers in here and the metallics are just gorgeous. This color is so fun if you are in the mood for a fun look. That's a great like pop of color on the inner part of your eyelid, or you could do your whole look with that and maybe pop one of the darker colors into the crease or the outer V. There's some nice earth tones. I'm not the biggest fan of green shadow. It looks good on me, I think, but I have pretty much stayed away from using a lot of green shadow just because, as I've mentioned before, I'm more into your everyday looks. And so colors like this or that, or maybe even this orangey pumpkin color up here would be maybe less appealing to me to use on a daily basis. But generally, you can shear these out and put like a light wash of color or make them as intense as you want. This is a gorgeous and unique palette if you are into experimenting with colors. If not, this will be a pass for you. And then, admittedly, I don't use this palette a lot, but boy, is it fun and fun to have. This is the pastel palette. Look at that fun color story. Oh my goodness, it's like Easter eggs. Easter eggs. Would I wear this on a daily basis? No. Is it fun to do like little editorial looks here and there? Yes. This is one of those I like to play in makeup palettes. When you're home, maybe I'm filming, um, and I just want to have a little bit of joyous fun. Of course, you can always do like a monochromatic look, like maybe just these two colors together, that on the lid and that through the crease. You could do that through the crease and like that on the lid. Something like that. You can do the 2 blues together if you wanna keep it a little bit fun, but more subtle. You don't have to mix and match the lime green with the aqua color with pink. You can, of course, but you can also keep it more subtle. This is such a unique color story that Natasha Denona put out, far beyond, like, a lot of the other ones that she's done. I mean, they're all very different from each other, to be fair, but just a really neat, color story and a neat formula. Sticking with Natasha Denona, I have the 2 big original 28 pan palettes. This one is the brown green palette. I decided to keep this palette together. I think I kept this together. I don't think I moved these around. I think this is the original way that it looks because these are all gorgeous. Even these greens are very wearable for me, although I don't reach for the greens often. These other colors, including these silvery, kind of grayy colors, are so fun. These brown tones over here are beautiful. This is an outstanding palette, and this is old. I don't know how old this is. And these formulas perform like the day that I got this palette. Fabulous, fabulous, palette. I don't know, well, does she still sell this on her site? She sold it for a while, I'm not sure that it's sold anymore, but this was like her original, palette for makeup artists when she first kinda got discovered as a brand. Then a controversial figure, and I don't care, I love this palette. This is Jeffree Star's cremated eyeshadow palette. What a name and what a controversial figure. Maybe you love him, maybe you hate him. I don't really care. I'm just about the makeup. I'm not worried about him or his politics. I could care less. So the palette looks like this. And if this isn't one of the more beautiful gray toned palettes, because it's got both like neutral tones, it's got some warm leaning tones, a few warm leaning tones, not a lot. Like I would say this has a teeny bit of warmth, that has a teeny bit of warmth, maybe that. And then it's got your pure cool tone ones. Like that is Wednesday is a very cool tone one. Mortuary Beautician. It's a pretty bold palette, intended to be controversial, intended to evoke reactions. Again, I could care less about that. I think this is an outstanding, outstanding palette with beautiful formulas and some of the most wearable gray tones. Like if I had to keep one gray tone palette, it would actually be this and not the Xenon palette from Natasha Denona, which I also love. But this for me is a much more versatile color story with more options. I don't love the cover of this. It also had a sleeve that came onto it and had the word cremated on it. I think I've thrown that away. So this is a little bit dramatic for me, but that's all right. The formula is amazing. And then I know this is like blasphemy, but I did give away a number of my Pat McGrath Mothership palettes, and they are in good homes with people that I know will love them. So I don't feel bad about that. I wasn't reaching for them as much as I thought that I would because I bought them at a time that I was into very like experimental, like haute couture, avant garde makeup. And, I'm doing a little bit more toned down looks these days. So it wasn't reasonable for me to keep them around. Yet and still, I'm keeping the pastel palette from Natasha Denona. Go figure. But anyway, the ones that I did keep, maybe I can talk about them in order. There's some in the other room, but there are 3 here. One is the Mothership 2 Sublime palette. There is that color story. And one of the nice things about these palettes, there are these like astral, I think they're called astral blitz shades. These are very pigmented, metallic shades that have a lot of punch, a lot of razzle dazzle. Then she also has more gentle matte shades. Well, I shouldn't say gentle because they are very strong pigmented shades, but you can sheer them out. Put a little light wash of color on. Like you can do these 2 colors, and go about your business day. You can do that color and that color. You can do this one and that one. You can mix and match them to have a more subtle look. And then when you're ready to go out at night, you could take one of these colors and you could pop it onto the lid and amp up your entire look. These are very avant-garde color stories, and if you've seen Pat McGrath, her makeup work, she really goes for, like, runway looks on the models that she works on, and they're really fun looks. She does a great job. Then I also kept the number 7 one, number 7, Divine Rose, maybe one of my favorite packaging options among the motherships. This is very pretty. I did manage to snag a pink version of this, and it's one of the reasons I kept this because I absolutely adore this pink palette. So here's that color story, more subdued than the one I just showed you, more everyday workable colors. Some of these have a little bit of shift, like that color shifts pink to orange. I'm not really into shifty colors anymore. I kind of want to know exactly what it's going to give me when I put it on and not be like confusing people when I twist my head side to side. This one has a pearl pinky shift as well, which I don't, especially love. I don't know if you can see that on camera. This is a beautiful shimmer shade. Look at that. Hello. Just look at, is the camera picking that up? I mean, these are outstanding. Anyway, you can get a very everyday look out of this, which is one of the reasons I decided to keep this in addition to the pink packaging. And you can jazz it up for the evening time without a whole lot of drama, a whole lot of trouble, and wondering where you went wrong in your life when you apply colors that just don't work well together. These all work very well together. Beautiful color story. And finally, this is the Mothership 9 Utopian Dream. Utopian Dream. Another very fun packaging idea here. How pretty is that? Like, it reminds me of a mix of like Rihanna and Janet Jackson and like Adele. If I mix their three faces together, I might get this look here. Here's that color story. I mean, that purple is like pow. Okay, that means business. These shades here are very blingy. But you also get these more easy to work with shades. That one can be a little bit difficult for me because it's like that kind of salmon color that makes you look a tiny bit ill if you don't apply it well or with colors that tone it down. For example, I would probably need to use, why is that hair refusing to move? A good deal of this color to tone down the like I punched you in the eye effects of this one. So I do like this color story overall, and I like the packaging, and I'm keeping this for now. So friends, I think I'm gonna pause the video there. I had envisioned doing the other part of my collection, but I see that this is, at least before being edited, well over an hour. I don't know what it's gonna edit down to, but still that's super long. And while I love a good long video, I mean, there's a limit, right? Thank you so much for hanging out and enjoying this wild makeup collection with me. We'll do the ones in the bathroom, which is maybe my preferred part of the collection because I use it on the daily. And there's a reason that they're over there instead of in here. We'll do that next. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Let me know your thoughts on these products if you have any of them in the comments. See you soon. Take care.